Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
I can't hear you.
There we go. There we go.
You gotta unmute yourself.
I don't know what happened. Okay,
anyway, you pushed the wrong fucking button again.
I did. I didn't realize it's touch sensitive over here, and I fucked up. Anyway, hey, happy Wednesday. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an awesome show scheduled for you as always, and with us, Benjamin. How's it going, bud?
You already put me up on the screen once. Why am I back again?
Well, I didn't say your name this time. People forget who you are.
Well, if they forget who I am, then they need to move the fuck along real quick. Actually, that way, out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, no, dude, I'm super psyched about tonight's show. You know, over the years, we've had tons of amazing guests. And every once in a while, we get a really kick-ass guest with an amazing inspirational story. And that's what we have tonight, man. And I'm so super psyched to talk to this guy. And even more psyched to see him this summer. But we'll talk to you all about that, you know, during the show. So,
hell yeah. Jeffrey.
Hey, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Everybody's doing good? Yeah, everybody's doing good? Yeah, so, you know, this guy is like a local celebrity, which excites me, although I'm easily excited.
You get
that's
excited
a subject for a different day.
You get excited when the wind blows.
So let's just bring him in. Let's welcome Josh Pineo, a.k.a. the Bulldog.
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, my man?
Yeah, I'm doing.
Yeah?
Hanging in, trying to keep busy, and not enough hours in the day most days, but you all know how that goes.
Well, from what I've been reading, you're psycho busy.
Yeah, it's insane.
You
I
know,
barely
you're
have time
doing
to
everything except like whittling wood and making pottery,
Damn near close, yeah.
right?
My hands are always
Wow.
doing something, but definitely not doing that.
Well, there's always tomorrow,
Yeah, always gotta have a backup plan, so why not, right?
right?
So what's he doing tomorrow? Whittling wood and making
And
pottery?
evidently
Making
making pottery.
Okay. So
Well,
Yeah, why not?
well,
we're going to add that to his list of amazing fucking things, apparently.
Apparently.
well, I don't know what he's doing tomorrow, but I do know what he's going to be doing May 13th.
Oh, Saturday.
Yeah, so this Saturday, you can find our awesome guest. You can find Josh at the Raven at 258 Pleasant Street in Worcester, Massachusetts. So you're going to be there along with Sean Connolly, Lou Ramus, Ian Matthew Sargent, and Letitia Hughes.
Yep.
And
Yep.
looks like doors
And
open at 7:00.
What kind of fucking show is it, Leo?
It's a comedy show.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I mean, this guest does all kinds of shit. He's a stand-up comedian. He's a musician, a touring musician to boot, and a kick-ass podcaster. He's been in films. Let's see, what else does he do? Cracks jokes at you after meeting you for 3 seconds. I mean,
Right?
Hey, it's it's the norm. I get it.
I'm just asking, just so our viewers and listeners understand that this Saturday it's comedy. So if you want a good laugh, get off your ass and go down there.
Yep.
So,
Pure unadulterated chaos in the best way possible.
Right.
Played many different shows at the Raven over the years, whether I was, banging a guitar around or, just sitting there shooting the shit and make people laugh. It's what I do best. So at least that's what I'm told anyway.
So other people think you are funny.
Allegedly. I mean, they keep having me back one way or another.
Yeah, well,
Right?
that's important. I'm hoping to stop by.
That's Facebook user.
Yeah,
It's probably
I'm
Phil.
guessing that's probably Phil.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chances
Yeah,
are.
be my guess.
You've got to, if you want to comment, you do, and just allow StreamYard, it'll pop your name up there. Or you can just type your name in the chat too. Maybe
Right.
we'll
Maybe
see
he
it.
wants to be incognito.
Maybe. So
Should I define that word for you? Is that too big a word for you?
yeah, maybe next week.
$5
Okay.
word.
The $5 word. So I know a little bit about you, and I'm sure the guys know a little bit about you. But I don't think our viewers and our listeners know much about you unless they read the show notes, and most of them probably don't do that.
Right.
So let's back up a little bit. You were born with a rare genetic condition.
Yep.
And I'm going to butcher the fuck out of this. Osteogenisis Imperfecta?
Actually, you nailed it. Imagine that, Ben. Wow.
Look at that. Maybe I should introduce the guests.
First time, and you got it right.
Right.
AKA better known as Brittle Bone Disease.
Correct.
Can you give us a little insight of what that is? I know what it sounds like, but
Right. Yeah, I mean, the explanation that I give most people is it's very similar to osteoporosis, but from birth, straight off the bat. So, when it comes to bone quality, I was given the shit stick right out the womb. So I bear very little weight on my legs. I use a wheelchair almost full time. I don't use a walker or anything like that. I can handle a little, beating on here and there, but for the most part, blunt impact is a no-no. I got the same bones as old fart with, osteoporosis. And, don't want to fall down and bust my hip because it'll actually happen. So,
right.
and I was born with 14 broken bones at birth. In utero, I had both arms and legs, 7 ribs, and they broke my collarbone, taking me out the C-section.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
So I had a rough go from the start, and I came into this world broken and battered and covered in blood, and I plan to go out the same way. So
Broken and battered and covered in blood. But that's on the stage.
right, exactly.
Right.
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 So
Yeah, I was grumpy.
Yep.
oh yeah. Yeah, so you were pretty much fucked from birth.
Yeah, it was.
But-
It was a complicated situation. I mean, I didn't have any family history of any kind of genetic issue, so I was basically, referred to as a spontaneous mutation. Nothing on my mom's side, nothing on my father's side, and of course, back in the mid '80s, unless you had any kind of family history, they didn't do a shit ton of ultrasounds.
Mhm.
So essentially, like, my mom had a very, for what she thought, a healthy pregnancy, no complications, no warning signs to anything whatsoever. And they went in, her water broke just like anybody else's would, and, did a full workup and couldn't find my head. And when they realized that I was breech and got me up on the x-ray machine, they all just looked at each other and went, shit. Because I was essentially broken from head to toe.
Oh,
And fortunately for my parents at the time, the number one expert in OI, Dr. J. Shapiro, was in residency at St. Vincent's in Worcester at that particular moment in time. So he was able to give my parents, every possible inch of information that they had on the disorder at the time. And probably nobody else would have been a better expert to say, this is what you got to deal with. This is what you're expecting. Hang on to your ass. It's going to be a wild ride.
right.
Wow. Now, how did that affect your childhood?
I mean, I grew up in a small town just outside of Worcester. And, we're pretty much a farming community, and, 8,000 people or less at the last I checked. And my family name was pretty prominent and still is within town. So, my grandfather was the chief of police in the 80s, and later dropped down to sergeant. And my father eventually would go from farming to police work and back to farming again in my early to late teens. But he worked as a town constable and also at Assumption College for 20 years, taking care of babysitting punk ass college kids that are drinking too much and getting fucked up.
Oh, like my son. He just graduated
Right.
from Assumption.
Or as they like to call it back in the day, Consumption College.
Consumption College, yes.
That's the way it went.
Right.
So, growing up for me, I don't know. It's hard to really explain because, like, I was very fortunate that the generation of kids that I grew up with knew me from preschool onward for the most part. So it wasn't like a whole lot of culture shock for them.
Mhm.
I eventually would go on to high school with, 5 different towns within my region. I went to Wachusett for 4 years. And so that was a little different. But for the most part, the kids that grew up with me, they were like, oh, that's just Josh. Like, he's got his situation. But, I never got really picked on or fucked with or made fun of. And,
Okay.
at a very early age, I wasn't afraid to tell somebody to go fuck themselves if they're going to, give me
Right.
any kind of shit.
Right.
So you really weren't bullied as a kid then? to
No,
be
I don't really
different.
remember too much of that.
Okay, good.
The only instance I can recall was I ran for class president, and back in like 8th grade or some shit like that, and a couple of the jock kids were running their mouth on the playground about me running, and I'm not even sure what exactly what was said, but some of the rough and tumble guys in school uh, basically threw hands in my honor, and told them not to run their mouth anymore. I didn't win, but that alone was worth it to the price of admission for me.
Right.
But that would kind of set me up for what the future would bring. As far as my social circles are considered. Uh, I definitely appeal to the a little edgier crowd, so it's kind of where it ended up.
Well, doing stand-up comedy and shredding on a guitar, for over 20 years. I mean, you're an example of true inspiration, as far as I can tell. You didn't let this disorder you were born with hamper you, as far as I can see, in any way.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, like
You took it as
anybody.
a challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I spit in the face of anything that tries to get in my way anyway. It's like, make my day. Let's go. I'm ready to go. And don't get me wrong, like anybody, I have my days, and there's definitely a certain amount of pain control that comes over time with having injuries like I had over the years. I've probably been in, if I had to make a comparison, 3 or 4 train wrecks. My body's been through the ringer as far as the frame goes. Vitals and organs and shit like that. Everything's fully functioning and normal size and ability. So it's a little bit different on that end of thing. But that you run into complications there too when you're dealing with a 3 foot tall, 100+ pound, frame. It gets a little complicated, but um, yeah, it's like I'm fucking human. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Right.
Right.
some people get blown away by what I do, but I tell people all the time, you know, attitude is everything for one, and you got to make a conscious decision about how you're going to live your life. And I went from being the kid in a wheelchair to being a guitar player, or that guy in the band, or that comedian locally who also happens to be in a wheelchair. I never put that first. That was
Right.
never my identity. I never protested for any kind of, you know, fight the good fight for handicapped people. It was, and not that I don't support that, because I do, obviously, but um, I just live my life as the best I can, and be a man's man. And people don't like it, screw 'em.
Right. Now, was it the brittle bone disease that affected your growth? I don't understand how
Yeah,
the
I mean,
bone, the brittle disease would do that, but
it's kind of complicated in the fact that it affects some kind of part of that genetic aspect of it. Plus, you fracture and break growth plates, and things end up being a little bit different than
okay,
most. It's not technically a dwarfism or a chondroplasia like that.
okay. That's
Like
what
I
I was
said,
wondering. Yeah.
yeah, I've got full size organs and that kind of thing. And luckily for my wife, where it counts, it's above average. So
I was just gonna say he's hung like a horse.
you'll have to ask
That's a
Ty
different kind of
Stereo Hill
bone.
about some of those funny stories I could tell over the years about that. But so it's not like most people assume. And I,
Okay.
I do a bit about dating in my stand up, and the assumptions that would come along with that. And then the broads that got curious got to reap the benefits, and what they were missing out on. And the rest of them, oh well, too bad.
Right. But you don't really do stand up. You do sit down.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
people tell me to stand up for myself all the time, but that's why I pack a 9 on my hip. So
Right?
you don't fuck around with me, man.
They didn't name him the Bulldog for nothing.
Exactly. Short stature with an underbite with only a face a mother could love. That's where I came up with it. So, but yeah, I mean,
Shit.
I think a lot of my upbringing and my backbone, not literally, but I was brought up in a very close knit family, and you know, my dad's always been a very rough and tumble blue collar guy, and he's 5'6", 240 thereabouts. He's a big dude, like not somebody you want to take on very easily. Uh, and as a cop and whatnot, he didn't take any shit and didn't deal it out where it didn't deserve to be dealt out either.
Right.
But and eventually, he'd go on to give that up and go back to his roots. And now they run a vegetable farm on the property that I grew up on in Sterling. You can go to PineoFamilyFarm.com for info on that. Get a little taste on my stomping grounds, or wherever I was doing donuts at the time, if you want to go that way.
Did you work on the farm yourself?
I did a lot of the IT stuff, a lot of the computer shit, and promotions, advertising, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We didn't have a ton of adaptive equipment, and honestly, it wasn't. Farming as a whole has never really been my thing, but I've found my way of pulling my weight in the family and doing what I could do rather than focusing on what my limitations were. And, my dad's never been really tech savvy and nor does he have the patience for that kind of shit. So, I've even after moving out of the home and that kind of thing, I do what I can when I can to help out on that end. So any kind of, web images or advertisements, that's still all me for the most part.
Cool.
Very
I'm
nice.
waiting for-
Good
I'm
way
waiting
to
for
contribute, actually.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Leo to geek out and ask him questions about. So, what program do you use? Because I know it's coming. I can see it in his face. So go ahead, Leo.
No, I was going to ask, did you self-train or did you go to school for computers?
I took a little bit of graphic arts in high school as an elective, and a lot of it was just natural talent and on the job training, like, a lot of trial and error. And
Yeah.
I've always had a pretty good eye for art in general. I drew a lot as a kid, and I'm starting to get back into it when I have the time. More digital art now that, we have the technology to do that. If I had that back then, who knows? I would have probably done that full time. Trying to sketch and paint and all that kind of stuff when you're physically limited, it can get kind of messy and chaotic. So it's nice to have that control under a digital platform. So I've been able to tap into that a little bit more now that it's kind of adapted to me over the years or vice versa. So yeah, so I kind of just winged it and had enough wherewithal to know what sucked and what didn't. And
Best way to learn,
yeah, pretty much. I mean, and then it's been kind of that way with everything in my career. The one thing that I can instill on people is that when you have a natural talent with something, or if something just comes second nature to you, the best thing you can do in life is focus on that.
Pursue it. Yep. Yep.
Pursue that. Don't try to put a circle in a square or peg in a round hole type of thing. Take what you're naturally gifted at and make it the best you can. And
It's good advice right there.
that
Yep.
doesn't matter whether or not you're in my situation or if you're a 6 foot tall athlete that has hidden talents that most people don't expect. Focus on what comes natural and the rest will take care of itself. I mean, you'll still be broke at 35 like I am, but at least you can be passionate about what you like.
Right.
Well, and that's what makes life happy.
Right. You
Yeah.
got to make the best of what you're given, and anybody that doesn't do that, they're fucking idiot.
Sourpusses.
Pretty much.
Now, do you use the Adobe Suite or do you use another software?
I
What do you do?
started out with real primitive stuff early on, but eventually I had a cracked copy of Photoshop, and eventually I would get good enough to justify paying the $65 a year or whatever the fuck it is, and then using Photoshop for the most part. I also use what the hell is it called? It came with one of the tablets. I have a Clip Studio from Corel. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Corel Draw.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they use it a lot in anime and comics and that kind of shit. So I kind of bounce back and forth depending on what I'm doing. But for the flyers and band logos and company logos and that kind of stuff, I just stick to Photoshop for the most part. And I do that kind of work freelance. So if anybody's ever interested in that kind of thing, hit me up.
So, and you can find out more about our amazing guest. Where, Leo?
In
You
the show
already
notes,
started?
up above or down below.
No, it's not my job.
He gets a kick out of me saying it for some reason. Yeah,
I
check
do,
the show
I
notes up
know
above
he
or down
does.
below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. You can find out about the awesome Josh and all your links there. I believe your Facebook, your Instagram, I think your website's there as well.
Yeah, BulldogUncensored.com is my podcast.
Yep.
Usually have one episode or more, depending on what I got going on during the week. But at least 4 episodes a month, if not more than that.
Nice.
And
No. How long you been doing that?
honest to God, only about a year and a half.
Okay.
And it's taken off quite quickly, being in the music business and just being an entertainer in general and networking. It's been pretty easy for me to tap into the connections that I do have and use those resources and bring the best content I possibly can to people. And most of it's just stuff that I enjoy, and if people like it, great. If not, oh well, I don't give a shit. Like whatever.
Fuck.
Change
There's
the
plenty-
station.
Exactly. At the
Right.
end of the day,
No.
fucking
Right.
At the end of the day, fuck you.
Right.
Words of
Exactly.
wisdom.
So I want to know why the guitar and when did you get interested in music?
Well, let's see. I want to go back around 97, 98, thereabouts. I mean, I grew up in a pretty musical family, on my mom's side anyway. My grandparents and my aunts and uncles, etc., on my mom's side were all in church band / choir, what have you. My grandfather was self-taught as a guitar player for a number of years. It's funny, when I came into the picture, he didn't really spend a whole lot of time doing guitar. It was just kind of like an afterthought for him. And ironically enough, my granddad on my dad's side, when he retired from the force in Sterling, we had a retirement party for him, obviously. And a couple of friends of my mother's had a cover band, and they all went to high school together and shit like that. So I just kind of gravitated towards, I grew up on country music. Most people don't know that. Being a redneck on a farm, it's almost unavoidable to a certain extent to have that kind of influence to start off. But as I got older, I got into the more rock and roll, and I focused on what the chicks were into, and I saw Terminator 2 one day, and I said, I want to look like that guy.
I want to look like that guy.
Exactly. So I got big into the hard rock, heavy metal, leather jackets, bikers, that kind of shit at a really young age. And So anyway, getting back to the retirement party, I had just sat down and talked to a couple of guys that my mom knew in the band, and I was like, "Well, hey, I really love what you guys are doing, and you sound really good, and you know, uh, I just wish they had guitars my size." Now, mind you, at the time, I was probably maybe 2 foot 4 or 5, tiny little thing.
Well, they make
Uh,
ukuleles.
right, and but I was like, I don't really want to go that route. Everything I do in life, I don't half-ass it. So if I'm gonna do guitar, I'm gonna find a way. And lo and behold, 2 weeks after this event, I get a knock at my front door, and it's a couple of the band members and the family that was local to town. Must have been like 5 or 6 people. They walk in with a Epiphone half size Flying V,
Oh, nice.
and you can Google it. It was called a V-Wee. I don't know if Leo, you want to check that out. You probably could pull up a picture that was candy apple red, like almost fire engine, one pickup. Nothing too crazy.
What was the name
And
again?
it's called a Epiphone V-Wee. Two E's on both words. So they were pretty limited run, and it was basically a glorified toy, but it was set up well enough that I could start out to get an ear for things, and eventually I would graduate to a Baby Taylor acoustic, and from there I took about 6 months of lessons and got down my basic chords and shit like that. So yeah, it was exactly that, but bright red.
Yep.
Okay.
And now I play what they call a 7/8 scale, which is a full scale body or a full scale neck, like anybody else would play, and then 3/4 size body. So it's standard guts and that kind of thing, but the body shrunk down a little bit. I'm also endorsed by a company called Boylan Guitars out of Harrisville, Rhode Island, right next door to the infamous Conjuring House. If you guys are familiar with horror movies, obviously you guys know your zombie shit.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Pat's shop is literally next door to the actual Conjuring House. So check out boylanguitars.com. He does all
I've heard of
custom
them actually.
and he'll fix a piece of junk and turn it into $1 million, as far as a quality instrument and vice versa. So doesn't get any better than that. So yeah, that's kind of how things got started. And, like I said, as I got older, my influences got heavier. I got wicked into AC/DC and Metallica, and eventually Pantera would come into my life, and I got big into Dimebag and kind of emulated. I wouldn't say exactly his playing style, but like his attitude and his riffs, and like I love the ML body shape. So a lot of my signature guitars are kind of based off of Dimes, and I do have a signature Explorer that's more like a James Hetfield Metallica type of thing. So yeah, I kind of took heavy metal was a catalyst of dealing with a lot of the difficulties that I had socially growing up, and it gave me a common ground to kind of a tribe to find my way and not just be the guy in the wheelchair. I was like, oh, that's the dude that goes to all the metal shows and he fucking kicks ass. And holy crap, most people would show up to a local show, like my boys in Scarecrow Hill, like before they even really knew me. We played a show together and they just expected me to be a fan in the crowd. And an hour later, you see these two ATV ramps getting slammed up against the stage, and I'm going full tilt like a monster truck on fucking Monster Jam, plowing right up, hopping on stage, and they're throwing a guitar in my hand, and I'm going nuts. And the rest is history. And I've been playing with those guys for the last 12 years. off and on. So much love to Hill and the gang, Ty especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So
small world, man. Because
yeah, considering you got one of their tunes as your opening song, that's pretty appropriate.
yeah, and they've become part of our family as well.
Right.
Over the years with Ty letting us do use some of the music that they had wrote for our shows. Ashley, his wife, actually was one of our co-stars in the TV series when we started, and so I mean that's a small world, but
yeah, it's crazy. It sucks because I live over probably about an hour and 15 minutes away from all of them, and they're probably some of my most reliable, close knit friends. So geographically, it kind of sucks, but it's like anything. When I get a chance to get down to Plymouth, it's like I never left.
right.
So it's always nice to come home. It's a
Yeah.
second home for me. So
And when I leave Plymouth, I never want to come back.
yeah, that's what they tell me, but I never understand it.
I left Plymouth years ago. I visit once in a while, but
Yeah. I
Like-
like being by the water and having a place that I can quote unquote vacation at and still have people I know and
Mhm.
not break the bank when I want to do that too. So that's a helpful thing.
Right.
So
Always.
yeah, guitar and heavy metal pretty much saved my life, man. I think the only other thing that might be a little bit more evident, I should say, on my podcast, I'd say heavy metal and professional wrestling. Really, those were my two die hard from day one. I guess that's kind of where I've kind of learned multifacets to my entertainment career. I saw these guys brutalizing their bodies and no matter what, coming back and kicking ass the next week every time and getting back up. And they inspired me to be the kind of man that I am. And so any chance that I get to say thank you or give back or spend time with anybody in that business, it always means a lot. Because those were my superheroes back in the day.
Right.
I mean, I was definitely, like Leo, I was a big Batman fan. I idolized the whole idea of becoming a symbol and not being the result of a tragedy, and doing the whole double life. Like, people knew me as Josh Pineo, but there's also a great amount of people that just know me as a Bulldog, and so I've not that I've kept that separate, but one aspect definitely has a different place in life for me.
Mhm.
People that know me on a personal level and, the homegrown crowd, it's a lot different because they know the foul mouthed jokester that everybody else knows. And, sometimes when I'm in a fully active band and I'm playing in front of a new crowd, they don't really know what the hell to expect right off the bat. And that's half the fun of it.
Right.
So,
I
like I
agree.
said, it's that Bruce Wayne Batman dichotomy I've always kind of emulated a little bit. And
I saw one of your posts also where you put Batman and I think it was like never give up or something, or he never gives up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the whole, fortunately, I grew up with my family intact and my parents especially, but that particular story in DC Comics always spoke to me because Bruce didn't have any superpowers. He was just as vulnerable as any other person physically, and he got broke down quite a few times. But at the end of the day, it was about doing the right thing and fighting for people that didn't have anybody else to fight for them. And I might be 3'3" and $100 soaking wet, but I'll put my life on the line for people I love. I don't give a shit. Like,
Right.
I can't fight a some bitch, but I'll drop you with a bullet if I have to. Like,
I'll punch you in the nuts.
yeah,
Fucking
I'll bite your knees.
run your ass over.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean,
So if our viewers or our listeners, over the next couple of months want to see this amazing gentleman shred on the guitar, then I'm going to suggest you get your tickets to the Grumpy Cup, because he's going to be there and he's going to be tearing shit up, literally.
I'll be making you laugh your ass off and hopefully melting some faces if they got the time. So
I do have your short pulled up. Is that something you'd like me to show? Would
Which
you?
one's that?
You're shredding on a.
Cool. Yeah, let's check this shit out.
It's I didn't load the video, but you'll still be able to. You should be able to hear it.
You are.
Hold on, I got it pulled up here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let me know if you can hear it.
A demo for my signature model, my first one. No, just see my fat ass pointing. That's about it.
Okay, let me.
Can't hear shit, Leo. Wrong button.
It's not the wrong button. I just got to add that channel.
Get with the program, Leo. Jesus.
Sorry.
Well, we thought Leo had it pulled up, folks, but
Yeah.
He does.
just
Continue
Please.
talking until I figure it out.
continue
He'll figure it out.
Yeah,
So
I
I
mean,
laughed actually out loud when I was, kind of looking you up, trying to find some stuff that maybe most people don't know. But I actually laughed because Ben mentions this every once in a while. I came across your MySpace page.
oh wow, that's a throwback. Holy shit! Wow.
Yep. Yeah, I'm like, son of a bitch has a MySpace.
Back in the day, yeah, I was hustling back then, man.
right.
Right?
Yeah, Fuel of
Nice.
War started out in 2008, 9-ish. That was my first professional band. It took us about 4 years to get professional, but the way it goes. But yeah, we started on MySpace, and wow, that's a trip.
Right.
Right.
Well, the only reason
I think a lot of
mentioned it-
people started on MySpace.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we didn't start on MySpace, but when we came out, we locked down the MySpace so nobody else could.
right.
I haven't put a fucking thing on there. Well, maybe I did. I think maybe I put like one picture of us. Like, if you really want to know about us, go here.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
I'm just curious if Leo's got that shit figured out yet. Oh man, you
Well, now
muted
he's
yourself.
got
So I
himself
still can't
muted,
hear you.
Yeah.
It's that touch-sensitive new equipment that you have.
Thought those glasses were supposed to mean you were smart, Leo. Come on.
But it doesn't help Ben.
Hey.
Well, his are a little bit less noticeable. I mean, he's
Mine is just because I
frames
can't
are
see
more
shit.
subtle.
I can't see anything. I can read. Yeah, there we go.
Oh,
So
that better?
Yeah, I mean,
as Leo fucks around with that, you've done a little bit of acting as well.
yeah, through my connections in the music business within New England, I make friends like I do, and eventually I got invited to star in an indie film called How I Dumped My Ex-Boyfriend's Body, put out by a company called Fatfoot Films. Just a group of guys that used to come to my shows, and we all had like a small handful of mutual friends, and they knew me long enough to know that I was, at least by their estimation, funny enough to put behind a camera. So they threw a script at me, and I'm extremely and proudly politically incorrect at all times. So they knew that they didn't have to worry about offending me or anything. So we just went balls to the wall and went as close to the edge as you could possibly get with jokes you can get away with. And I got to play a hitman, which is always one of my the mafia has always been a neat little thing I've always been curious about back in the day. So
That was Tony the Fixer, right?
yeah, I played Tony the Fixer, the non-Italian mobster hitman / cleanup crew. So if you Google Netflix films, or I believe the movie is still available streaming on reveal. So you can probably
Sure. Yeah, it's probably still out there somewhere. Once it's out there, it's always out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
We weren't able to get it on Netflix. They wanted too much money, but I still support Fat Foot Films and all the other projects they got going on. They're trying to expand and get a home base and home studio. So props to them. And I miss it. It's been 5 or 6 years now since I've actually been doing any acting. If tough part about doing auditions and stuff is I have kind of limited transportation. I mean, my wife drives me when she can to certain things, but I'm working on it, having more of a full-time chauffeur when I can afford it. Like I said, I'm still on Social Security and shit like that. So I don't make a whole lot of money with this podcast shit or anything, but I do it because it's the right thing to do and it's something I care about. And it's tough living on a fixed income, so I rely mostly on donations from viewers like you, not to copy PBS, but I appreciate anybody that gives a shit enough to help support what I'm doing in any way. And if you can't do it financially, just word of mouth, spread the word, spread the pages, do what you can.
Share.
Exactly.
It's free.
That's the name of the game, and it only takes a second. So don't be lazy.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
No
excuse.
Now, is the reason you can't drive because of your stature?
It's kind of a combination of things. I mean, if I had an unlimited resource financially, I could potentially go out and get my license and get hand controls put in to my vehicle and that kind of thing. Because I own my van outright, which took me a while to pay off. But who doesn't know that bullshit?
Right.
So, I mean, it was something that I went back and forth on for a long time. I thought about going, balls to the wall and just going for it completely. And financially, there wasn't a whole lot of options. They have programs like Easter Seals and things like that. But like I said, like I never had that help me, woe is me. Like I'm the handicapped dude. Like I was never about that. So I tried to. If I was going to get help, I was going to do it on my terms.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that meant going out and working for it or you scratch my back, I scratch yours, kind of thing. And it's not that I was too proud to take charity, because I'm not, but I don't consider myself to be an activist or anything like that. Like the fact that I'm disabled for me is even below secondary. I don't carry myself as that being the obvious thing. I mean, to the public, that's what they see first. But as far as like when I get to know somebody, I'm like, well, what are you looking at? I'm just the same as you. And
Right.
Yeah, you get that. You've got that tough guy, arrogant edge to you that I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, but only. I think I keep it to a healthy level. Like I'm not,
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
when you're doing comedy, right? Do you kind of hold back a little bit, or do you not give a shit about hurting somebody's feelings for a joke?
Oh, I don't give a shit.
Good, thank you.
Not once, and I think that's a big problem with comedy now.
It is. Yep.
I won't go political or anything like that, but society as a whole, everybody just needs to lighten the fuck up. In general, their life is too short. I'm too short. It's there's so much more important shit to be worrying about in this country and the planet, and everybody just needs to lighten the hell up.
Well, yeah. I mean,
we're
I'll tell
human
you,
beings. We all have different upbringings, and we've all struggled in one way or another, and that doesn't make anybody's struggles more important than another. You know,
Right.
people out there preach equality and equity and shit like that. But to me, what I've observed being a minority in my own right, um, being disabled, we've all got our shit. And either you own that and make the best of it, or you play that wave the fucking flag and, you know, take every handout and don't earn a damn thing and act like you're owed something. I know I'm not owed a damn thing in this life. Everything that I've gotten, everything that I own that has been of any substance, I work for that shit one way or another. Whether
There's a
it
word
meant,
for that, you know. It's
right,
called pride.
exactly.
Yep.
And not the pride level of being overconfident or anything like that, which a lot of people get the wrong idea with.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, I'm going to be prideful and full of myself. It's not about that. It's
No.
self-respect. And, I think getting to get back to my point about equality, I think people often misuse that term. And if we really want to be equal and we want to care about each other as human beings, we have to lift each other up.
Yep.
It can't be about who's had it worse or who's had it better. It doesn't matter. If we're going to make this world a better place, we've got to collectively decide to do that together. And I think
Agreed.
a lot of people don't get that.
Nope. They
And
don't.
it's all the haves and the have-nots. The only way we can level the playing field is if we get our thumbs out of our asses and stop expecting things to be handed over.
True. Yep.
Make the best of what you got. Don't try to hold people down. And if you're trying to make your own way, make your own way. Don't get in other people's way.
Right. You know, my dad taught me a very valuable lesson when I was a little kid, because and it stuck with me. And everybody needs to do this. You don't know what somebody else is dealing with on a personal level,
Right.
so just be fucking nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as a little kid, that was proven to me.
Right.
In a very difficult way for me to learn, but it stuck with me all these years. So,
Yeah. No, definitely.
Just a life lesson right there.
For sure. And getting back to comedy, like I grew up on guys like Carlin and Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy. Robin Williams is probably my biggest influence aside from George Carlin, but those guys didn't give a shit.
No.
Because they were all friends with all different kinds of people. And they got away with things because they genuinely went through the same struggles.
Yeah.
And they didn't try to compete with who was struggling more or less or any of that shit. They were all just comics.
Right. And if you can't be made fun of,
right,
then you got to lighten the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll make jokes about myself all the time, and the fact that I'm, fun size or handicapable or some stupid shit like that. I did a bit during the holidays that I just got back. I got laid off for the rest of the winter. I'm done, dealing with Santa's bullshit. Working
like
at
your
North
family's
Pole, just
farm.
really old fast. Shit like that.
Your family's farm. I was going to give you shit. I was going to be like, oh, well, you must be the cow milker because it must be easy for you.
I'm low to the ground and hope I don't get stepped on,
Now, see, I was going to go the reverse route and be like, okay, so when Dad was with the tractor, did you just take the lasso and be like to the ass end and like, yeehaw?
Well, believe it or not, we didn't have a whole lot of livestock growing up, but my last, well, I shouldn't say my last, but right before I got involved with my wife and moved out and, did the big boy thing, my 28th birthday, my father bought me a Scottish Highland bull.
Nice.
it was an overgrown pet, and eventually, the plan was to
Eat it.
raise them up and breed. We wanted to do a small beef herd because economically that was the smart thing to do at the time, and things just didn't pan out. And I had other plans later on, and eventually he was rehomed to go fuck every cow in sight, and do what I would have wanted him to anyway.
This is
Right.
So he's living his best life somewhere out in Belchertown. So,
nice.
but yeah, I mean, shit like that you don't hear about people in my situation or even my age group bothering with that kind of thing. But that's just the kind of guy I am. Like, if it's badass, I want a piece of it.
Cool.
Simple as that.
That's cool shit.
I do have the video, and
Oh.
this should work. Let's give it a try.
Let's see. Let's see if Leo.
What's up, guys? Bulldog coming at you. Showing off the Boiling Guitars Bulldog prototype #1. We got custom cola pickups, locking tuners up top. This is a real diamond blade, doesn't get much more metal than that. So I figured I'd give it a little rip and show it. So that's just me half-assing it.
But still
That's nice.
half-assing it. Yeah. I was going to say, still
It's like
half-assing it.
heavy metal Muppets.
Right, exactly. It's time to play the music. It's time to fuck your wife. I mean, what? Did I say that? Oh, shit. I don't know why I've got such a potty mouth tonight, man.
We know what's on your mind.
Yeah,
Right? You need to get some.
Man.
Wife, if you're listening, take care of this man.
In
Oh,
2.5 minutes, because then we'll let him go.
Nah, I need an hour or so I'll wait till we're done here.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Great, though, man. Fucking.
Well, yeah,
wow.
I mean, we, as far as my music goes, I mean, I've done a bunch of different recording projects. Fuel of War, unfortunately, once we started to make some headway, playing wise, things kind of fell apart. So we weren't able to do more than, we did 2 records. I'm in the process of getting them archived on Spotify and that kind of shit.
Nice.
But my most recent project, Satin Steel, is on Spotify. Leo, I don't know if you want to pull that up. That's probably my most recent recordings. I also have a death metal project, me and my brother Adam Sloan, called Dead Mans Trigger. And that entire record I recorded, produced, mixed, and mastered all myself.
Oh,
And that was before I had Pro Tools and all that kind of shit. And it actually came out halfway decent. So anybody that's into that kind of thing, want to hear me playing more fast stuff like that, there's a little bit of every kind of metal you can think of on that record.
Nice.
It's called Symptoms of Creation is the EP. But
You said-
Satin Steel is a project that I've got with my friend Alicia Marinelli. She's in another band called Fathom Farewell, and also a couple other projects. Shred of Salvation was the first band I saw her do. But we've kind of got a bit of a Evanescence / Hailstorm with a little bit more balls
nice.
to it.
Nice.
So we're a recording project right now. We're going to start trying out actual members sometime this summer. So if you're a musician out there and you in the New England area with your own transportation, because I ain't carting my ass anywhere if I don't have to. Keep your eyes open, and we'll be posting job applications soon.
And you can find out about those job applications by looking at the links in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And see how I did that for you, Leo? I just kind of slid right in there.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Took that for you. But yeah, I mean, you said this shit's up on Spotify. I'll have to go.
Satin Steel's on Spotify. Dead Man's Trigger is my original band. Fuel of War, unfortunately, is not, but we do have a lot of live performances. If you go on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Fuel of War Band, all one word.
I'll definitely check that out. But the ones on Spotify, I can actually download and get up running on our radio station.
No, by all means, I love that.
Yeah. We, the three of us here and a few others, started a streaming radio station back in January called Dead Dork Radio.
Nice.
So, and we love, as we call it, indie musicians.
Right.
You know, and I'll do that. A lot of people that we know in the music industry, like Scarecrow Hill, Supercharger, Stranglehold, my cousin's band, I Will Be Done. I grab all that shit and I get it up on the radio station just because I can.
Nice. Eventually, you know, I run all of my ventures through my promotions company called Speedium Promotions. We're on Facebook, and I don't have a regular website yet, but it's in the works.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of is the umbrella over everything I do.
Yeah.
But I book indie bands, comedy shows. I've booked country acts all over the place. But mostly I stick to the hard rock and heavy metal scene. That's what I know. It's what I love.
Right.
What I'm good at. So anything in New England. I haven't booked a show since before the pandemic, but I plan to get back doing that this coming year, and in fall of 2023 as well. So,
Very cool.
But you'll be playing at the Grumpy Cup in July, right?
Yes, I'll be playing live and doing stand up at the Grumpy Cup out in Greenfield, Mass, on July 8th, and I believe 9th as well. We're still
8th and 9th. Yep.
Working out the logistics of who's performing when and that kind of thing. But
right.
Looking forward to that.
Well, you know what? Fuck it. If you're not performing and you want to perform, come hang out with us.
Absolutely.
We're going to be set up there. Just come hang out with us, and you can heckle everybody that comes to the booth.
Well, I'll be doing that anyway, so whichever works.
Safe, yeah.
You know,
we'll
put you down next to the table, and you can just come out and grab them.
Yeah, put me on the edge of the table. One of you can sit behind me and make a mannequin out of me or something. Good night, dummy. Yeah. Ventriloquist, have at it.
Right? So, yeah, folks.
Wow, you're really good at this.
Definitely. Get your tickets to the Grumpy Cup in July. Come out, see us, see Josh, see all the amazing people that are going to be there. It's going to be a kick-ass event. I'm super psyched to hang out with Josh there. So, I mean, that's why I'm going.
Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Look at Jeff. What?
That's why you're going?
Why the hell would I do that?
Yeah, you didn't know that. I didn't tell you that.
Oh,
it's going to be one of those shows where you just leave me at the table. Where's Ben? I don't know. He left a while ago.
He's over there with the Bulldog.
Yeah.
Nah.
And I'm throwing all the single broads your way because I can't do that anymore.
I can't do that. I'm retired from that scene too.
Yeah.
Don't throw them my way unless I just want a photo taken.
Well, money's money, bro. Go for it.
True that.
But yeah, we
got
got
permission slip.
Yeah, right.
Right. We got just a couple minutes left with Josh. So if anybody's got any questions, I saw a shitload of comments in the chat. But if anybody's got any questions, now's the time to get them in, because otherwise, you snooze, you lose. But like I said, get off your ass in July. Come out to the Grumpy Cup. Meet Josh in person. Meet us. Hang out. Have some fun.
Right.
And
if you can't do that, get out to Worcester on Saturday.
That's right. I was going there, but get out to Worcester on Saturday for the stand-up comedy. And Leo, where is that going to be again?
Damn it. I think I closed it.
I could do his job for him at this point. What the fuck, Leo? Like, May 13th, Raven and Worcester Bulldog and Friends comedy show sponsored by Bulldog Uncensored and Speed Demon Promotions. Check out the Raven, the hole in the wall, but we love it.
There you go. I see. I knew Leo closed it.
Yeah.
I know.
No. Actually, I was on the first page of his website. I pushed off events, but yeah. So the Raven, 258 Pleasant Street in Worcester, Mass. It's going to be a $10 cover. Doors open at 7 p.m. And along with Josh, you can see Sean Connolly, Lou Ramus, Ian Matthew Sargent, Latasha Hughes.
Yeah, it'll be the five of us. We're all New England-based comics, and the Worcester, Massachusetts scene has been growing rapidly in the last 4 or 5 years. So when I saw that, I finally decided, okay, I'm going to give this a whirl, and just jumped in, and I couldn't have a better group of colleagues. There's a ton of talent in this small area, and we're all getting out there. My first 2 years, I already had 2 gigs at Mohegan Sun at the Rocks. What the hell is it? Yeah, so they do a showcase comedy down there at one of the nightclubs in the casino.
Oh yeah, yep. I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it.
Comics Roadhouse. That's what it was.
That's it. Comic Roadhouse.
Right.
Yeah, they changed the name so many times. So
yeah. But
I read a little while ago that mainstream comedy is basically a dead thing now, because everybody's going underground because there's too many pussies out there that don't want to be offended and shit. So where's the jokes? They're going underground to those that can handle it. You know,
right?
And also, I think entertainment, in a lot of ways, has become way too fucking expensive.
Yes.
Especially to see a top act. You're shelling out. I think I watched a video the other day of an old archive of Ralphie May saying he was still selling tickets for like $1,200. Like in this economy, nobody can afford that.
Right.
So it's benefiting us little guys, no pun intended, to have it come back around and come back to the roots.
Very cool. So we are almost out of time. So I'm going to go and say last questions. Jeffrey?
Yeah, I'm good. I know Leo's got his. I was going to jump on it instead, but I'll let
you can
Leo
jump on it.
that.
Go for it.
Nope. I like the way you put it. I like the way you put it.
Where I put it or why I put it?
Hey, however you want to look at it, but
it's the only
personal issues.
So, Josh, something we ask everybody is, besides your music, your comedy, and your graphic design, what's something you dork out about? Like, is you mentioned you're a Batman fan. Is like we've had some guests that like are really digging like history of like sunken vessels, or what's something you dork out about?
I'm a big history buff. I love like World War II, World War One kind of shit. Any conflict that the U.S. has dealt with over the years. I'm a huge video game nerd. Both my wife and I play games constantly. And the video game type, we're not going to get into that.
Well, you're playing with your wife, so that's a tip right there. No,
it's better than most guys can say.
Well, what are you playing now?
Right now, she just started playing Dead Island 2. I'm working on Jedi Survivor.
Oh, nice.
I'm big into shooters. Like I grew up around guns. I have my license to carry. So I'm a big supporter of 2A and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, nothing scarier than seeing me during hunting season with a gun mounted to my wheelchair. I look like a Sherman tank coming down the road, dragging a deer. So that always gets a few looks.
I bet. That's hilarious, actually.
So yeah, when you need a good laugh, think about that tonight when you're going home. But yeah, I love games, and like I said, wrestling's a huge thing. It doesn't matter what company I support, indie companies as well. but I'm an old school WWF/WWE fan. But I'm a big supporter of the underdog, so AEW's got my heart as well. But yeah, so I mean, there's not much I'm not into. I mean, I think much to Tyler's chagrin, I think he's the only rapper that I actually enjoy, or can tolerate.
Right.
Tolerate's probably the right word. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, he's definitely my favorite rapper. But yeah, music-wise, I mean, I listen to just about anything for the most part. My influences come from all different genres, but I predominantly, the rock and roll, heavy metal with a little bit of a country edge to it at times too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So on that note, I know Leo has another show this evening.
I do.
Do your thing.
We'll wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. And you know me, just Google me. You'll find me. A bunch of stuff could be true, could be not. I'm not going to say which is which, but I run the Dorkening Podcast Network. Ton of shows on the network. There's a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. Head on over to thedorkening.com. You can learn more there. We're going to be doing another live show in about 45 minutes. So stay tuned here on the Dorkening. And so, Josh, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
I'm real easy to find, whether it's Facebook, Instagram's kind of my secondary. But if you just look me up just from my name on Facebook and you're not some kind of spam or creeper or whatever, and I most often will say hi. And you can also check out BulldogUncensored.com to get a hold of me that way as well.
Very cool. And we have all that in the show notes. Jeffrey.
Oh, it's my turn. Still Toking. StillToking.com. Toking with the Dead on Facebook. But go to StillToking.com. All our social links are right there. And I want to thank Josh for coming on. You are a true inspiration. I can't wait to meet you in person. Hopefully before July at the Grumpy Cup, but we'll see.
Likewise, absolutely.
It's not, it'd be a lot of fun just to hang out and look down on you. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Oh, jeez. Benjamin.
Can't fucking take him anywhere. Nowhere. But no, like Jeff said.
You can't take me anywhere because I got the placard with good parking.
I'll take you everywhere you want to go because that's right. You got the placard with good parking. Fuck, dude. Let's go to Disney World because we can get right to the front of the line.
Right. Have cripple will travel. That's what I always say.
Right. Dude, I'll put you right in my backpack. We're good.
There we go.
We're good to go.
Good to go.
like Jeff said, stilltoking.com. You'll find out everything you want to know about us, from the comic book to the TV series to the animation to the novel, which is out for pre-sale on all your major platforms, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, it's out there somewhere.
Who knows? Maybe we'll see a zombie version of my crippled ass out there someday.
I'm already thinking about it. We'll talk about that off screen. Off screen.
Cool.
We need someone that's short of the plants.
Listen, you keep it up. I'm going to pay him $20 to run your fucking feet over the entire weekend.
Nice.
That Grumpy Cup. Just saying. So I just want to say thank you to all our veterans and first responders for doing what you do so people like us can do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We're out of here.
Yeah. Hang out for a few, Josh.
Yep.
So come on. Step it off, bring it down.